Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Behemoth, and this is Scarlett versus Astrea Best of 5 semifinals from ESL Open Cup North America number 84. Now, before we get into things, of course, I would like to remind you all to like, comment, subscribe, do everything that the fancy pop-up is going to show you right there, just to make sure that it really helps us out a lot, make sure that we get in front of more eyes. But now, without further ado, spawning in the bottom left, in the blue, she is the Queen of Blades for the Shopify Rebellion, Scarlett. And in the upper right, in the red, he is, for Alpha X, Maximum Angel, Astrea. So hope you all are out there doing fine, doing dandy on the interwebs. I know it's been a minute since my voice has been behind a call. I've been busy, been moving, or getting ready to move, doing all that fun stuff. But no worries, because you know what? It's Scarlett versus Astrea here, the battle of the North American Titans. Well, I guess 2 of the 3, but Neeb doesn't really play in EPT Cups for whatever reason. He only shows up for the big money. Much kind of like what Cyril does, actually. You almost kind of wonder. I mean, Neeb is still, of course, dominant, but I almost wonder whether Cyril, right? He doesn't play in these all that much. Raynor and Clem do, and it feels like there is kind of a gap opening between Raynor and Clem, and then there's Cyril, even as Cyril is very good. And yeah, I know that Raynor went and he didn't make it into the season finals this year, but that didn't really feel like it was because, oh wow, Raynor's suddenly really bad, or there's some gap and he's just not good anymore. More like he's on vacation playing on like a Wi-Fi hotspot or on a cell phone hotspot, and well, good luck with that one, right? I mean, it's impressive that he was able to win the games that he did, despite those adverse, terrible circumstances. Now, look at this. Scarlett, she's going, well, never mind. She just already has her Zerglings out, running across the map a little bit. Okay. I was going to say, wow, look at this. Scarlett opening out without any Zerglings to ward anything off earlier on, just going straight Queens. That's a bit greedy, but no, she's going to be fine. And Astrea is opening up a Twilight in this game number 1. There we go. Now, this can be a couple things. I mean, Blink has been entering the meta just a little bit more as of late. It's not the dominant tech by any shape of the imagination, but it is there. It is a thing. Most likely, this is just going to be glaives, and then what we're looking at is how many gates get thrown on down. Is this 2 gate? Is this 3 gate? I mean, it's not going to be 2 gate, or is this 4 gate? Right, because we've seen Zoun in particular really kind of enjoy this 3 gate glaive adept idea, where you go and you get 3 gates, you get glaives, and then you say, okay, this is going to be fantastic. Oh, I'm sorry, it's going to be a Dark Shrine tech off of us. So 3 gate DT, most likely. I mean, we're only on 2 gates right now, but we will get that 3rd down rather soon. And yeah, this build's a bit anachronistic, but it has, much like the Blink build, started to enter its way into the meta just a little bit more. And, you know, and part of this makes sense because we've seen Zerg players cutting so many different corners to try to make sure that they can deal with Stargate tech that maybe maybe Dark Shrine tech is going to catch them off guard, going to catch Scarlett off guard just a little bit. But also, realistically, there is a spore timing that you get when you know it's going to be Stargate that, you know, you're not really worried about anyways. Now, the one thing I am worried about maybe for Scarlett here is I believe she saw Scout in the main, but no, she saw the Dark Shrine. Never mind, we're all good. I was going to say, the one thing I'm worried about Scarlett is maybe she reads this as a just glaive adept timing instead of some sort of A Stargate or B DT timing, which would, of course, mean that theoretically, you know, you're not getting any spores for a while because the adept into DT build is really not much of a thing anymore. But now Dark Shrine is done. We're going to see DTs get warped on in here. And I'm sorry, I said 3 gate. It is only 2 gate DT, which is honestly very interesting. Normally it's 3 gates, so you can get that, so you can get your Archons that much faster, so you get those 3 DTs initially for the harass. So 1 probe will go down immediately, but I mean, one drone, not going to be the end of the world. And of course, there's detection here. I mean, hey, you know what? Group tumors. That's nice. We should probably see 2 more DTs get warped on in once we see the once we see warp gate cooldown does complete. And there we go. We should start to see 2 DTs get warped on in eventually. Okay, or not. But eventually this should turn on into Archon drops. Archon Harass will be the name of the game, because you know what? It's kind of a shame there for Astrea to go and say, yeah, I am doing this thing. I'm going to build 2 DTs. I'm going to get no damage done, and that's going to be that. I do like what he's doing here with the DTs, just doing a really good job of removing creep, because the lack of mobile detection right now. I mean, Scarlett has it underway now, but certainly did not have that before, as the layer only just finished. The lack of mobile detection means that this is an uncountered or really uncounterable creep removal force here. Is that, oh, they're gonna get a queen, maybe? Okay, they're not, never mind. The queen will survive here, and Overlord will not go down. Okay, Overseer, or not Overseer, Observer, there we go. Another O word. It will go down as well. And Scarlett's just building a big army. More and more Roaches, Ravagers, Queens are on the way. Only 5 right now, so yeah, she's walking with a couple, but not that many. Granted, it's not like she needs a ton here to make sure that she doesn't die. Because, well, it's not like there are a bunch of Void Rays or something on the map that really necessitate those Queens. This just gives the army that Scarlett has a much bigger HP buffer, and also means that these War Prisms, or the War Prism that is going to attempt to try to keep Astrea alive here, well, it's going to make sure that it actually can, or make sure the pickups don't really happen. But now Zergling's going to look to get on top of all these Immortals, on all these sentries. The Biles should come raining on down. Yes, the Immortal will survive, but the second Immortal is going to pop on out here. It's going to pop out to its death. Robo is going to die as well, but Scarlett's army, well, it is still double the army supply of what Astrea has here. 1 Immortal goes down. No more Immortals in this game, and okay, there we go. Actually, the Immortal will stay alive here. That's just because Scarlett's going to rotate around here onto the left-hand side, try to knock down as much of this tech as possible. And now the Queens are here. The Queens are walking. And note, this is only... Okay, functionally, this is a 3-gate hold here for Astrea with no Robo. The Warpins are just not really all that well. But of course, the Warp Prism Micro for Astrea is looking to be fantastic. But, you know, Immortals don't do all that lot against Ravagers. And with the Queens here, these Ravagers, they're standing strong against all the Charizards looking to run on in. Now, at this point, if Astrea can go and can knock down this detection, maybe that's going to be what he needs. You know, these Zers are starting to get rather low as a drone has been brought with the army, just because, why not? Okay, more and more Zealots getting warped on in, and Scarlett's army, these Ravagers, they're just not dying. I mean, the army supply is staying pretty static for her, and the army supply for Astrea is continuing to shrink as the tech here of Scarlett, it's still here, it's still strong. In fact, the Queens, yeah, the Queens just kind of ran home. They said, yeah, the hell with this. We got the War Prism. That's all we need. So Zergling's finding the way on into the third base here. There is 1 Queen, I guess, because it never can have enough Queens. And now the Zerglings, they will surround everything here. Biles on top of the entire army, and this should be it. That being said, there is no detection here. So the DTs, they're starting to do a ton of damage here, and that damage that Scarlett couldn't get earlier, well, it's coming on in now. Where are these Overseers morphing on in? They are far away, so now it's just Scarlett trying to run away, do what she can to kite this out long enough until she gets detection once again. Now, this 1 Queen, a couple Queens here, they are starting to get knocked on down. But hey, Zergling's getting on top of things. DTs will be forced to run on back because, well, Astrea knows there is going to be detection here soon. And as miraculous as that hold was, and, you know, buying time, getting the knocking down the Overseers, a fantastic move. At the end of the day, detection is here again. The army of Scarlett is massively in the lead of what Astrea has, although he will have 4 Archons. And that's just going to pretty much invalidate any amount of Zerglings that Scarlett does have. So that is always a question. That's always something to be worried about. But Scarlett just going to sit here on the edge, building more and more and more Ravagers, knocking down the stack defense, knocking down the production here. And yeah, Queens will go down. That's fine. Honestly, there's no Warp Prism. So this is just Charizard Archon Sentry. And Scarlett, well, she's just going to sit here. She can't really engage in that army with what she has at the moment, but what she can do is cut down on production, cut down on tech, make it so the army that Astrea continues to try to build is as low tech as possible, really just so it's just charge lots. And eventually maybe she can pair off some of the charge lots as well. But now the fight's happening on in earnest here. 1 Force Field is going to do a really good job of sectioning off a good portion of this army the way. The Biles are not really going to land on the tech of Astrea like Scarlett needs it to. But at the end of the day, does it really matter? The Biles, well, we're going to see 1 Archon go on down. But now here we are, the Archons, the DTs, they're getting on top of these Ravagers. The army of Scarlett is starting to melt just a little bit. More and more DTs getting warped on in. All of the Archons, all of the Ravagers here of Scarlett are now dead. The DTs getting so much damage done, and the detection is gone. The splash was enough. It means these DTs can start to find their way on top of the Queens. And now it feels like Astrea, he's finally starting to find some of the momentum that he was looking for. It was 80 army supply to 20 just a minute ago. But now we're looking at a 10, a 12 army supply delta. And yeah, Scarlett, she's getting Roach Speed, she's getting Aspire. But Astrea still has an economy. He still has that third base. He has +1 now. And he has a Robo, so he can start building Immortals on top of that if he wants to. Astrea has made a miraculous hold happen, and yeah, Scarlett's on 4 bases, but I mean, mining out of the main, starting to mine out of the natural any second now. Well, actually, I guess it's not all that bad. So once again, Scarlett has built a roughly double army supply, army here against Astrea. It's not nearly with the oomph that we saw in previous games. We don't see, well, first and foremost here, Astrea has +1. Astrea has Disruptors on the way. Disruptors, of course, insanely good against Roaches, insanely good against Ravagers. And hey, Quad DT's getting worked on it as well. So this 5th base from Scarlett, when it eventually, well, we'll find that DT is actually going to be rather nice because it's not going to complete, right? DTs are on top of that. So there we go. The DTs will be found here if Scarlett was paying attention. And, well, mutas are already on the field. So they should start to find their way onto the other side of the map here soon enough. I know I saw them in production. Where are they? There we go. Flying onto the other side of the map here. But it's only 6. That's not a lot. This is a, hey, Astrea, be very afraid of my mutas, but I'm not really committing to them. Instead of the, wow, I'm gonna get 30 mutas. Your life is gonna be miserable because now the mutas, they're gonna fly into the main base here. It's only 6, but with the lack of static defense we see in the actual production lines here, this is gonna be enough to cause significant harm to the economy here of Astrea. 7 workers go down immediately. We're gonna see more and more and more. There's no blink. The Archons are pretty much the only defense. So an entire mineral line almost will get wiped out here by Scarlett as she's going to start to equalize the damage that she has taken over the course of this game. Because, yeah, she's lost some units. She's lost some workers, sure. But really, it's the fact that she went all in on this and didn't really get enough done. Nice force fields there. So many of these roaches will go on and down. That's not going to be a great trade there for Scarlett whatsoever. Meanwhile, of course, Blink CTs are going to find their way on into the Spore here. The detection is no longer at Scarlett's third base. And where do we have any sort of oversee? There we go. Okay, so not really going to cause too much havoc. Could have been a lot worse. And now, well, the meters should find this, and that's going to be a dead war prism, but it has caused probably enough chaos because the army of Scarlett was forced on home. And while you force the army of Scarlett home, that's already going to be a problem. So, okay, 1 Archon will escape. 1 DT will go on down. Scarlett does have her 5th base underway now. Hive underway as well. But, I mean, she's on 73 workers, sure, but she hasn't really had that great of an economy for the majority of this game. And more importantly, her tech is not very good. All right, she's on Roach Ravager Ling Bane. She only has +1. She's getting +1 melee, too, eventually. But it just feels like she's not developed. I mean, she doesn't have lurkers. She doesn't really have that great upgrades to go into ultras. It just really feels like she is kind of lacking. She's got a very mid-game army. And Astrea, he's doing a very good job of building the army that counters Scarlett's army, even if Scarlett's army is that much more expensive right now, even if it is a 50 army supply lead. So Scarlett just building more Roaches, more Ravagers, more Lings, more Banes, all that fun stuff. Looks like she's only getting Hive for probably for Vipers and for Adrenal Glands. I mean, Vipers do a really good job against this army. Scarlett has a rather big surround set on up here, so Astrea does have to be very careful. Scarlett looking to run on in. Nice force fields. The Disruptor Shot's actually not going to get all that much to start here. But the Baneling's going to look to roll on in. And actually, it's not going to get a lot. The Disruptors here are not getting the damage they need to. And now Scarlett looking to roll on in. We talked about a 50 army spell lead. Well, this is a lot more here. I said I didn't trust this tech of Scarlett. Well, I was dead. I was so wrong. The entire army of Astrea is gone. He moved right into a concave. And yeah, he's got +2 versus +1. But this army supply, it is 70 well, almost 70, versus what supply lead here for Scarlett over Astrea. And yeah, she's gonna have to wait for her army to rally on in, more lanes going on in, get upgrades, all that fun stuff. But all of the tech here for Astrea has been wiped out. One disruptor is not gonna be enough to carry the game for Astrea at this point. Now we have a bunch of Zerglings. Crack is done in about 20 seconds. And that means these Stalkers are going to be, well, I'm not going to say worse than useless, but not all that great here. So now Zergling's getting on top of things here. Nice splits will keep most of this alive. As now Scarlett's just going to get on top of these. Files are going to land on top of the recalling Stalkers. Not even going to get all that many out. Now 100 supply lead for Scarlett as she is rampaging through the army of Astrea here. And the big deal is, look at the economy. Astrea is starting to mine out this base, starting to mine out this game, his main base. One mineral patch left is natural. Not all that much either. Scarlett, she has her 6 bases, and she's in a fantastic position here. Really, it's only Stalkers. Stalkers aren't all that great against this army that Scarlett has seen fit to build. Now the Disruptor Yoink is going to knock down the last of these Disruptors. His 4th base is going to go down, and GG Scarlett takes game 1. So what we're looking at here is this Void Rays, right? Is this the traditional, one Stargate, 353rd base, 2nd Stargate, all that fun stuff? Are we going to see the +1 Stargate build that has become much more popular? It's actually really good against the Queen Walk, so it makes sense why it has become as popular as it is. Are we going to see the ever elusive Zest build of triple Oracle into Carrier? Well, we got a bunch of different options. Interestingly enough, we do see Astrea go Oracle first. Here in this build, and part of that makes sense, right? He did go Stargate into Warp Gate, which does allow for a quicker Oracle, so he's going to try to take advantage of that, run across the map, find his way into the Zerg's base by just around 4 minutes, and see what happens. Now, Scarlett, her spore timing to deal with this Oracle is a little bit late. Normally, you're going to get your spore at like 330, 335, if it is going to be Oracle first out of the Protoss player. So she's just going to try to hold with queens, 2 queens in the natural. We should see 1 spore in the main, but she's really cutting corners here, as I don't know if she's seen the Stargate. Okay, she has seen the Stargate, and the Oracle, yeah, okay, so it's going to look to fly on into the natural, but there's no static defense here. Oracle's going to have a bit of a timing where it can look to run on in before there is any sort of defense here whatsoever. The Queen's going to pop. Nice timing here from Astrea, so he's going to get 5 workers immediately, and then look to dive on into the main. Now there is, there's actually a decent amount of energy, but there are 2 queens in the main. So that means the Oracle, well, it's not going to look to dive on in. But hey, 5 workers, forced a drone pull as well. So nice damage there from Astrea to start things out. Certainly more than he got in the previous game, as he will go to 2 Oracles, which does mean a lack of Stargate, well, a lack of commitment to Stargate. Really means you go into ground behind that. Of course, 3 Oracles would confirm it, but even with 2 Oracles, it means it's less likely. You need stuff on the ground. Oracles are not the best all-round defensive units. They're fantastic against Zerglings, for example. If you get up like 4 or 5 Oracles, they can DPS anything down. But then you just kind of beat him with stuff. Oracles eventually run out of beams to fire. As we will see this, we will see the Stasis Trap come on in. It's going to get 1 worker, but that's going to be about it. Scarlett paying attention as well. She said Stasis Trap coming on in. Oh no, actually it's just going to be Oracles looking to dive on in here with the spare energy. Scarlett, you thought you were safe. Well, you kind of were. It was only 2 drones. 2.5 drones, right? Because it's stasis. And there we go. All right, so it looks like Oracle into Chargelet Archon will be the name of the game here for Astrea in this game number 2. It's kind of interesting. We have started to see ground-based tech be much more popular in this matchup over the last, I don't know, month or 2. We, of course, Traps run in the GSL Super Tournament before, of course, he ended up having to play non-Zergs. But up until that point, his run in the GSL Super Tournament was really hinging upon this ground-based PvZ style, which was really interesting. I mean, he beat Rogue with it. He looked very good. But it is nice to see the fact that we can get away, or the Protoss players don't have to go Stargate, or don't have to go Void Ray, Mass Void Ray into Sky Toss to win games against Zerg, right? You can make this Chargelet Archon Storm type, or Disruptor, whatever you want. You can make the style work at the highest levels and not just have it be a gimmick. Anyway, Scarlett going into really quick Lurker Den here. Or not Lurker Den, I'm sorry, Infestation Pit. So this looks like it's going to be kind of a queen roach swarm host type play. We are on 7 queens. The infestation pit is done. +1 is on the way. We should start to see some swarm hosts rather soon, I think. Of course, this could just be for, you know, quick hydra, quick hydra den, quick hive, quick lurkers. But okay, it's just gonna be for quick hive, quick lurkers. Got it. Never mind. And, you know, rushing up the hive like this at 6 minutes actually provides a really nice time here for Astrea to move out on the map. He's not that far down in army supply and army value. He's actually up tremendously. So his charge lots, his archons are going to find their way on into this 4th base. But there are roaches, there are queens. The force fields are going to get broken immediately. I think by an archon, actually, because there's not like there are any ravagers. But, well, the roaches, they're going to set off creep. They do have roach speed, so they don't hate chasing all that much. The queens here just looking to push creep forward. And this timing here from Astrea, not going to be all that great. Archon's just finding as much damage as they can before they do get picked on up. Now our hive is just about done. We don't have a hydra den, though. The baneling nest was made, but no baneling speed. This tech from Scarlett just feels a little bit all over the place. I mean, I suppose it could just be for, like, quick vipers to deal with any sort of, to deal with archons and things, but I don't know, that feels like a little bit of a expensive commitment just to get vipers. Or actually, you know what I think here is Scarlett's realized that, hey, you know what? This army that Astrea has made, it's vulnerable to just a massive bulk of stuff. There's nice splits here from Scarlett. She's only going to lose like 2 roaches, and I guess a third to the stalkers, but now she's looking to move on in with the queens, the roaches, and the ravagers, knocking down a lot of this production here, at least 1 gate, as the queens, they're going to get siphoned off immediately. Shield battery overcharge, not even popped yet, as the stasis trap's getting dropped on in behind. There's the shield battery overcharge. This army supply of Scarlett is falling down rather quickly. It's only 30 here, and if we look at army value, it's not all that different. In fact, Astrea, his army is that much more expensive as the queens are starting to go on down. Disruptor shot's going to get knocked down a bunch of the ravagers. You can't really split against that, as the, well, zealots will die as well, and a little bit of a box select there error for Astrea, but we're starting to see the archons go on down. The army supply lead, though, that Scarlett had, it's not there anymore. Now, these roaches on the back line, they will get 9 workers, and that is something, but this was just not really worth it for Scarlett. Not really. It feels like she just overcommitted into a timing that she thought she saw. But I mean, Astrea's, he's on 4 bases. He's got +1. He's got +2 halfway done. He had disruptors on the way. Scarlett got all of this tech. I mean, she got a hive for crying out loud, and she hasn't used it. Baneling speed is now underway. But I feel like if you go 6-minute hive, you're doing it for something, right? You're not just... Well, I guess she has a viper. He does have 2 vipers, but now we do see Astrea here very confident in his position. He's got 4 bases, he's got 8 gas, and he held off that push from Scarlett really easily. Well, now he feels pretty safe to go into Sky Toss, and he's already got his +1 underway, a couple additional Stargates, Fleet Beacon as well. He is going to have a really powerful army in the next about 3 minutes, and if Scarlett cannot break him before then, or at least develop her tech in such a way that she can deal with this, well, it's not going to be pretty here for the Queen of Blades. Now here she is moving on in once again. So many stasis traps. You'll love to see this one. Nice abducts though. Oh yeah, getting an immortal as well, an archon and immortal. She can just keep doing that. Maybe even just drop some some evo chambers right at the front and just knock down all of the tech of Astrea's army. Then maybe that's going to be her avenue for victory here. But I mean, look, the abducts don't take harpoons don't take a ton of energy. I mean, I guess they do if you get feedback, but in general, harpoons don't take a lot of energy, and that does mean that Scarlett can do this for quite a while. Because, of course, one Viper going home, 1 Viper staying here. Zealots finding their way on into this base, and you know what? They're with the spine here, they shouldn't get a lot done. Okay. This warp into the main, though, is going to get a lot of damage done. A bunch of roaches left behind, and it looks like they're just being left behind to their death. That looks like a massive disruptor shots, actually. Yeah, massive disruptor shots on that base. Now the hive is going to get sniped here by Astrea, moving from strength to strength. We're talking about, wow, Scarlett needs to get something done, or she's just going to run out of tech room in this game. Well, we have +1. Air is done already. Storm is done as well. We have one carrier out on, sorry, 2 carriers out on the map, 2 more underway. We should start to see 3 of them made 3 at a time. Scarlett has no hive, so the 2 Vipers that she has right now are all she's going to have in this game. And yeah, the spires are done, but it's not going to be any sort of greater spire tech to deal with what's on the ground. She can maybe build some corruptors, but she's going to get 1-1 for them, so that's going to be what she's going to do. But in all honesty, she's kind of running out of gas. She's sitting here only on 700 gas. That's not going to be the massive disruptor count, or excuse me, the massive corruptor count that she does need. And Astrea, I mean, he's taking his 5th base. He owns his portion of the map, which is not something that you can always say when you're playing against the Zerg. I mean, yeah, the creep spread is rather advanced, but this hit squad of Stalk is doing a great job of removing that for the time being. And I mean, look at this. Astrea doing it on the left side as well, or excuse me, the right side as well. So it looks like in this game we're going to see, well, Scarlett, she's going to, well, try to find some way to deal with the much vaunted +2 carrier timing that Roddy loves to talk about. And he's not wrong. +2 carriers are a terrifying force, especially when there are no Carapace upgrades on the ground. Granted, it's not like the ground army matters at all here for Scarlett, because she has no Hydras. It's, you know, it's not like she has to worry about anything like that. The Roaches are there just to deal with the Archons and the Immortals and the Disruptors and the Storms and all that fun stuff. These carriers in the air, they are purely the purview of these 6 Corruptors. But when we are looking at 7 carriers versus 6 Corruptors, and yeah, there are 2 Vipers, that's something. These are going to be +2, these are going to be +2 carriers versus eventually 1-1 Corruptors, but not for another 30 seconds. Yeah. This army that Astrea has built that I expect to... Oh, okay, interesting. We have a bunch of hallucinated Colossus as well. Okay, sure. I feel like this is not... I think this is something that Astrea is going to see through, but anyway, or Scarlett's going to see through, but anyways, now we do have Astrea moving out here on the map with his Golden Armada, looking to get some hurt here, put some hurt on top of the Zerg player that, well, kind of timed out in this game, to be totally honest. The, well, the abducts on the hallucinations. I said I didn't think Scarlett was going to fall for it, but she absolutely has here. Viper's looking to move on forward. The feedbacks are damn good. Now Baneling's looking to roll on in, but it does not matter. The Storms on top of all of these Banelings. Archons, they're just doing such a good job of buffering it at this point, while Disruptor Shot's going to look to move on in. Roaches are dying. Everything's dying here, folks. We're going to see an attempt of the Loco maneuver as we have, what is that, 10 Corruptors on the map versus 8 carriers. Yeah, good luck on that one. Stark's looking to move on forward as well. Carriers are slowly dying, but not at the speed that they need to. Astrea here, double the army supply of his opponent. 40 total supply on up. And this base is dead, folks. This base should be as well. As it looks like Astrea looking to run on back just a little bit, making sure that he has his enough interceptors, making sure the rest of his carriers firing their way on in. And that's actually rather surprising that Astrea is backing on up here. I guess, yeah, just getting more Archons, building more buffer to make sure that really just so the Corruptors can never take that engagement. Oh, I love these aggressive stasis traps too. It's just going to make it so much more difficult for the Banelings to run on in and do anything to these High Templars. So now, well, they will get one. But now the Corruptors running on in piecemeal, doing what they can. Nice feedbacks here is going to prevent any sort of parasitic bomb, any sort of abduct here. And the Corruptors, they're doing what they can, but the Stalks are underneath them. The Archons are underneath them. Carriers are fighting them from above. And it's 30 supply to 90 here as Scarlett, she's going to fall down. And Astrea, he's going to take game number 2. All right, so in game number 2, it really did feel like Scarlett went and she got bamboozled. She got boombazzled. This timing, this Archon Charlotte timing kind of forced her to go all in, or at least her read was that, okay, well, Astrea, you got a lot of Charlottes, you got a lot of Archons. I should just be able to bust that down. But she wasn't. She went and she ran on in, but there were so many stasis traps. There was a fantastic Sim City that really made it hard for her army to get on top of things. And from there, I mean, we saw Scarlett committing to a mid-game army when she didn't do the damage that she needed to maintain her commitment into that army. Astrea, of course, for his part, he was on 75 workers. He was on 4 bases. The minute he held that first push, we saw the additional Stargate tech go down, the 2 additional Stargates, the fleet beacon, +1, all that wonderful stuff. And that meant that as much as Scarlett wanted she was just really never able to advance to the tech that she needed. I mean, she had like 6 corruptors when the 10 carriers ran across the map with +2, and that's just never going to be the static, or that's never going to be the anti-air that you need to make sure that you can deal with a +2 carrier timing, especially when your corruptors are barely getting into 1-1 as the +2 carrier timing is hitting. In fact, I think the first half of that engagement they did not even have 1-1. I think it was 0-0 versus 2-0, and that's just never going to work. So in this game, where does it go? It appears that Astrea, he got a lot more... Oh, well. He was much more successful with his Stargate tech than his just straight to ground idea that he went for in game number 1. The DTs just didn't really accomplish much, and Scarlett was able to run across the map and kill him. But we're going to have to see. Because this is actually rather interesting. This double gate opening from Astrea here means that his cyber is rather late. 2:30 is the timing where you say, hey, is he even getting is he getting warp gate or is he getting Stargate? So seeing the warp gate go down at like, 2:30, or the warp gate go down at like 2:35, well, normally that's that you say, okay, that's a Stargate tech, but this is double gate into cyber. That is not nearly the tell that it might otherwise be, and we have Adepts getting chronoed out 2x2 here. This is going to be a decent amount of pressure that Scarlett's going to have to deal with, and behind that double sentry, okay, interesting. That just tells us it's going to be an expand build out of this, but the double Adepts running across the map, or okay, so yes, it's going to be one Adept running across the map, and another one is going to stay home defensively. Now that means a lot of the power of this build from Astrea, right, is it looks to punish the time where there is no creep between the natural and the third base, and of course double Adepts, they kill drones instantly. So you get 2 of them, you pair them up, you have them running between the natural and third base before there's creep there, and it becomes a bit of a problem. But Astrea scouted it out early enough that Astrea doesn't really feel comfortable doing anything with it. And it does. Oh, that's what this is for. Okay. Astrea is going to get a 3 minutes and 30 seconds third base, folks. You heard that one right. It is about 25 seconds faster than the traditional super fast expand that you get with a Stargate tech. Now, I don't know how this game is going to go, because I don't think I've ever seen this build before. Of course, Astrea is known for his zany builds, and that is, well, he's showing us one here today. We're gonna have to see how well it works out, because this is actually pretty cool. So we see double gas in the natural behind this. This is, again, I mean, you might say, well, that's a tell that he's expanding, but Astrea's already expanded. In fact, his third base is about halfway done at 4 minutes. That is insane. But what do we have behind this? It's gonna be Twilight. It's gonna be a forward. So +1 something up, potentially +1 Blink Stalker, taking advantage of the quick third base that he's gonna have to just power into +1 Blink Stalker, +2 Blink Stalker, all that much quicker. But most likely it's going to be some sort of just really quick way to get into Charge Light Archon. As it feels like, well, +1 Blink Stalker, unless you're going for a specific time, it doesn't really do all that much. And we don't see any notion that this is going to be like Blink Stalker Colossus or something. Ow! Look at this. We have the fake Immortal Sentry here. A bunch of sentries running out on the map. One hallucinated Immortal, one hallucinated War Prism. Scarlett's going to scout it. If she was paying attention, she should know that this Immortal is hallucinated, as the Immortal fired on the Zergling and it did no damage before the rest of the sentries cleaned that up. And Scarlett, yeah, she's not reacting to this all that much. Although, I mean, she is partially supply blocked, so maybe that's why. But really, she's building a couple. I mean, she does have to respect this in some extent. But yeah, this is not. It's a cool idea from Astrea, and it absolutely would catch mere mortals with Scarlett. She's been playing this game for too long. She knows what's up. Now, if she did build a bunch of links, she could have maybe caught a bunch of sentries out on the map, and that would have been something. But it's fine, whatever. She didn't really commit to this. She's sitting here on 60 workers, getting her 4th base, approach speed underway, all that fun stuff. I mean, she's just developing her tech. She's pretty happy with the state of this game. Oh, so it will be, I was wrong. It will be +1 Blink Stalker Colossus here. Interesting. I mean, part of this has got to be a map decision. Because, well, it just makes sense. You go on in and you can sit Colossus here behind this position. There are just so many chokes that getting at like Colossus Sentry just makes a lot more sense than it might on another map. But we have a flank coming on in here from Scarlett trying to knock down these sentries, but force fields are going to be good enough here to force everything back. And meanwhile, Scarlett has lost 9 workers. It looks like Adepts ran on in to the third base as well as Stalkers. They're just going to move on forward, blink back, do all that fun stuff. Let's see. Disruptors are just about out. Oh, she's just okay. Scarlett's just, or Astrea's just playing Blink Stalker Disruptor. Very not what I expected, but you know, again, if you see your opponent going primarily Roach Ravager, it makes a lot of sense. And Scarlett, I mean, she's feeding right into this game. It's gonna be lurkers on top of that. And if you'll remember, right, the reason that we saw this kind of a quick storm carrier tech really fall into favor, in part, I mean, the quick carrier Stargate thing is still here, but the quick storm as the opener's fallen out of favor because a lot of Zergs were just punishing it with Hydra Lurker. Right, you get Viper Hydra Lurker, you're fine. And I mean, Lurkers against Storm, good luck, right? The Lurker range is going to outrange the High Templar and just makes life very difficult indeed. But Disruptors are, of course, the counter to that. So we're going to have to see how successful Astrea is going to be here. It looks like he has 5 Disruptors on the map as he's looking to move forward with the rest of this army. The Lurkers are, of course, underway, but we do not have Lurker range, and that's really going to make what makes this army so useful. But hey, you know what? Those Biles are going to be absolutely fantastic as a bunch of Zerglings. They're going to find their way on in to the natural here. Looks like actually the Warpin should be enough, but Scarlett's going to retarget. So she's going to get a couple workers here, not a ton. And the Disruptors, they're getting targeted down here by all the Lurkers. Gonna have to be recalling a couple Stalkers. This is absolutely bungled here for Astrea. He's tried, but this has been absolutely the timing that Scarlett does need. She fires the 4th base, fantastic. But here's the big deal. She's got time to get 2-1 underway. She has her Lurker range just about done, and this army defensively for Scarlett becomes 10 times more powerful once she has her Vipers full on energy wherever those are. Yeah, there we go. Full on energy once she has the seismic spines done, as she does now. This army is just so much more powerful. And yeah, eventually you do want Lurker speed as well. We don't have that yet, but on the time being. Oh, are they going to siege up on the high ground here? I kind of think I would prefer that. But anyway, with these Vipers sitting on top of things and the lack of well, I guess we have High Templars now, but we can say the lack of High Templar means there's no feedback. But we do have High Templar now. The Lurkers are just looking to siege up the static defense that Astrea has built. Well, a lot of it's just going on down here. And what do we have on this north side? A bunch of Roaches trying to take some engagements of their own. The Roach is not all that useful right now. The Biles are going to be fantastic at this point. Okay, there we go. That's going to be a feedback, but it's a feedback on an Overseer. Scarlett doesn't really care about that. Now, these disruptive shots are going to start to find some value, but only going to get 1 Lurker. And there's the feedback we're looking for. Scarlett needs to find the abducts. Okay, no, she's not. She's just going to move the Lurkers on in. And now they're abducts on top of a bunch of Disruptors. Only 1, actually, but the High Templar. Now they're starting to get found on out here. It means, and there are more feedbacks, or there are more abducts where this has come from. But the last High Templar does remain. And now this push from Scarlett, it is petering on out. So many Lurkers dying here to all of these Disruptors. I mean, Disruptors, they can take the chip damage. Shield battery overcharge is a thing. Lurkers looking to space on out, do what they can, but they are starting to get very heavily paired on down here. That being said, Scarlett, she's up 50 army supply here, and all the Biles, they're not going to land as good as they did earlier, but it's just a bunch of Stalkers, just a bunch of Sentries, and they're just not fighting, actually. A lot of them are on move command here. I guess shift a move, something like that. So Scarlett's going to get a massive bounty of sentries as she does continue to find her way on in to this base. Zergling's just going to look to kill this off immediately. Disruptors, well, the shots are actually not going to be all that fantastic. Zergling's getting on top of all the stack defense, and that's going to be a much better shot here. But lurkers, they're still here. They're still firing strong. There are just so many lurkers for Scarlett in this game. The fourth base is getting broken. 21 workers have died, and Scarlett moving from strength to strength here, finding her way on in. Zergling's getting on top of the disruptors, getting on top of the stalkers, and the lurkers, they continue to move on in. GG. Astrea says Scarlett, she takes game 3. So that one's got a sting there for Astrea. He had the perfect build, or he really had everything he needed to make sure that he was in a great position. But I think in part, going that 2-8 opener and getting 0 damage done with it. Those adepts are meant to kill drones, and when they don't, that's a problem. You know, well, as I say that though, he still did get away with that third base, that 330 third base, and he was not punished for it whatsoever. Scarlett, yeah, she hit it timing, but I guess maybe we can say Astrea was punished for it by Scarlett being greedier than she might otherwise be. But at the end of the day, I mean, Astrea had everything he needed. Scarlett was just able to take the engagement and just find the proper positioning that meant that he lost his fourth base. And without kind of taking a backup pick span on the right side, well, that was the big problem. Really, the bigger problem was the Roaches and the Ravagers that were taking the engagement to Astrea on his third base, right around that gold position. Because that really allowed him to go and just get extremely aggressive on the map. Or not aggressive on the map. That was what paired off so much of that army that Astrea had. He lost so many stalkers, so many sentries, things like that. And sentries, I mean, even if you warp them in, they're like High Templar. They're not going to be nearly as effective as the sentries that Astrea had been building up energy on for a good portion of that game. So we're going to have to see whether he opts to do something like that here in this game number 4. I don't think so. That feels like a very Blackburn-specific build, more than anything else. And you know, it's Oxide. So Oxide, of course, it is a shorter map, but you can still get away with a lot of different Stargate tech, which is kind of what I expect to see out of Astrea here. And I mean, that seems to be what's working, right? His committed Stargate opener, or I guess more committed, he got 2 oracles, but into, you know, late game Stargate, whatever. That was the game he won, and these kind of interesting ground-based techs that he's gone for are the games that he's lost. So it's not to say that ground tech is not viable in this matchup. It absolutely is. Look to trap. But it feels like in this specific matchup of Astrea versus Scarlett, Astrea is doing a lot better when he does have a little bit more air tempo than he might otherwise have from going to an opener like this one, right? Going on into the Twilight like he did in game number 1. So we're going to have to see whether this is DT tech, whether this is going to be Glaives. Because as of right now, I mean, we saw Astrea do a build like this once. It didn't work out all that well. Okay, so this is going to get scouted here. We do have the Robo underway as well, and this tells me this is most likely going to be Glaives. We don't see any upgrade yet, but the additional gateway's getting added on in, and seeing that Robo as weak as it is, Astrea, he's not really saving that 150 gas for a Dark Shrine, I don't think. But, you know, he's going over, well... Okay, never mind, yeah. He will go into Glaives now. And this, by the way, folks, this is 3-gate Glaives. This is actually something that, unless he adds a 4th gate, which is always possible. This is something that I was talking about. Okay, there we go. There's a 4th gate. Never mind. I'm no longer excited. I mean, I'm excited to see how this game pairs on out, but there's this build that Zoun has been doing where it's 3-gate Glaives into like +1 Blink Stalker. It's really cool. I've seen it kill a lot of Protoss or Korean Zergs. Protoss Zergs. Interesting. But it's really cool. It is it plays with your preconceived notions about how the game should be played, and I think those are honestly the most powerful builds in general, the ones that play into the meta just enough to play counter to the meta. All right, but now the Adepts are looking to warp on in here. Scarlett going for the... Oh, who did this first? Rogue going for the Ravager Zergling defense, but there are not a lot of Zerglings. I mean, 18 more underway now, but already the Adepts, they're going to get on top of these Ravagers, I think. Okay, they're just going to get a cocoon. How many Ravagers do we have? We only have 2. You need 3 to burst everything down appropriately. So that's already going to be a bit of a problem here. But we do have Zerglings out now, and they're going to like to try to take this fight. As the Queen does go on down. You know, Astrea's finding value with this. Oh, I love this too. A couple of Adepts are going to get warped on into the main base, forcing Scarlett to really reposition herself. And you know what? So we're going to see not a lot go down. Nice pickup there, but now the Adepts at home also not doing all that much, but they got a Queen, they got a Ravager, they got some Zerglings. It's not the end of the world. Meanwhile, we do have third base underway, Immortals as well. Now, I say it's not the end of the world, but I'm also not convinced that Astrea has done enough. Right, he's not killed a single drone in this game. He has killed 1 Queen, he's killed a Morphing Ravager, he's killed 8 Zerglings. It's something, and knocking down the Ravager is kind of the biggest deal there, but now he's going to start to find at least a little bit of damage here. The Adepts looking to run on in, and they're just going to go. They're going to get picked up. Easy peasy. It's kind of funny, isn't it? Actually, they're not even going to get picked up yet. They're not enough anti-air. Always kind of funny when you look at this, any sort of Adept timing, where it's not the first 5, 10, 15 Adepts that do the damage for the most part. It's like those last 2 or 3 that find your way into a mineral line where you're just like, I'm fine. And it's the 2 Adepts in the Warp Prison that just get 20 workers, or in this case 4. Oh, Zergling's gonna find an Immortal here. Really nice pickup here from Scarlett, because I mean the traditional follow-on from this, and unless you're going the Zoun build, which Astrea is not, is into some sort of kind of Immortal Adept timing that eventually you get something behind that. In this case, it looks like it's gonna be Blink Disruptor, Blink Colossus, something to that effect. But losing one of those Immortals there takes so much oomph out of this, either this push from Astrea or this defense that he's going to need to make once Scarlett decides to attack. That being said, Scarlett, she's putting herself on 66 workers. She probably is going to take her 4th base rather soon. She's not really committing to a massive army. Okay, so it will be Disruptors here from Astrea. That makes a lot of sense. Disruptors, of course, very good against this army that Scarlett is building. Against Baneleys, who cares? Against Ravagers, who cares? It's going to do a pretty good job of keeping Astrea safe here. And as much as Scarlett didn't take a lot of damage, I mean, her supply is not ballooning, as we might expect. She's only up 11 army supply. And Astrea, well, okay, he is situating himself for a 4th base, so we're not going to see him try to take advantage of this timing, run across the map with just a bunch of stuff, a bunch of like Blink, Stalker, Disruptor, and try to make that happen, because, well, Blink is not done yet. +1, the real big portion of that time, he's not done either. So it looks like he's just going to look to defend. Yeah, actually, looking at the timings here, and I'm almost wondering whether this is going to be a fake 4th, but no, we do see the probe moving on in. And that should be the Nexus going on up, and maybe paired with a push. But this is not the whole, I don't think this is the whole, actually, as I say that, this could very easily be one of those builds where you kind of build the structures that tell someone that you're going to be building a 3rd. I mean, you know, putting a couple units here, dropping double pylon, that might tell Scarlett that, yeah, Astrea, she's taking a 4th base, I'm okay. But meanwhile, Astrea just building a massive army, getting ready to run across the map, as he's doing right now. But we will see the 4th base behind this. But this is absolutely a 4th base defended by a push, not just kind of a 4th base, hope to defend, do all that. So a bunch of Adepts here on the left-hand side. Astrea's army on the right-hand side, just posturing off a creep, doing what he can to remove vision, remove map control that Scarlett has been able to build for herself. I would love to see, well, actually, I think we did see an Observer on the right-hand side. That's a lot of creep that Astrea was able to clean on up. But I think Astrea has also learned from game number 2, where you move out on the map. With an army like this, you're pretty vulnerable to some sort of stress, but those disruption shots are going to start to be rather good indeed. Second shot, going to get a decent amount of Baneleys. Third one, going to get even more here. Scarlett She's trying to get the surround, but the Baneleys are just not connecting here. And the force fields are going to be damn good indeed. Baneley's just looking to filter on in. It's going to be a recall. And actually, that's going to be a dead immortal. That's going to be dead more stuff. The first couple contacts did not get much, but after that, oh, she absolutely got what she needed. But on the flip side, of course, on the other side of the map here, 10 drones have died. And a bunch of Zerglings, I assume, as well. So the Adepts will find their way on into the natural here. Banelings, though, they should make a good engagement here, and that's going to be that. 10 workers will be the final bounty here. But charge is now done, and how many Banelings do we have left on the map? We only have 5. And Astrea, well, he's still getting aggressive here. He's still attacking. He's only down about 9 army supply, and as that happens, I mean, this Warpin reduces that count even more so. How many disruptors do we have on the map? We have 3. Are they with the army? They're kind of rallying on in behind. Disruptor shot's going to move on out. Hey, it's going to be a bunch of Zerglings, but also a dead Stalker. His death for their cause, of course. And now the Stalker's going to look to move on in. Scarlett once again setting up for a massive surround. This base should go down before anything does happen, I think. But now, actually, the engagement happening on in earnest. Nice force fields here. The Banelings on the right-hand side not going to get anything done. Banelings on the left, not finding all that much either. Disruptor shots, not actually get... Oh, that one. No, it's not going to get anything here. So Scarlett, she will be able to break this army. I think the Biles are going to land on top of a whole hell of a lot here. The tech of Astrea once again going on down. Astrea, he's losing the army, but he's not losing the fight. Or he's losing the battle, but he's not losing the war here. As once again, Zealots get warped on in. 7 more workers go down. We're going to see a Spire pop up for just a second. And these Zealots should be able to knock this one down. We have, what is that? 1 transfused, but no, Scarlett's not paying attention. So the Spire dies immediately. Meanwhile, we have this engagement on the right-hand side. It's just a bunch of Blink Stalkers. But a bunch of Blink Stalkers. Havoc they can cause. As these Zealots are still around. Jeez. Anyway, Stalkers here. It's really kind of interesting how Astrea, for the most part, is just kind of backed up into mass gateway tech in this game. I mean, we have some disruptors, but they're getting reset immediately. We had some immortals that they have not proved themselves to be useful at all. And I can't believe Scarlett didn't lose that base, to be honest. But anyway, Zealot's going to look to run into that one as the Stalkers. Yeah, they're going to find this base right as it's finished. So that's a dead base. That one is above reproach. And now Zealots, they're going to run on in, but they're going to die. I mean, the army here of Scarlett's on the right-hand side. She started to be a little bit wise to this game that Astrea is looking to play. The game of, I'm going to bounce around to the left, to the right, the left and the right, and just try to make sure that happens. Stalkers, there we go, blink on into the low ground. But we do have a Templar Archives done now. We do have that second level of splash damage that Astrea is looking for in this game that's going to make this army so much more powerful. Now, we do have, what is that, 2 Vipers with this army. That's a bit scary, but we should see High Templars get to warp in soon, which should allow for the feedbacks that Astrea does need. Now, I believe this base is going to go down. Astrea not really in position to defend it, but now Disruptor Shot is going to move on out. That's going to be a big shot here. But I love this. Notice the Changeling's looking to move on in. That means these Vipers just have the absolute perfect vision to try to get these abducts off, but okay. It's not going to get all that much. Meanwhile, Zealots finding a lot of value here. A bunch of Queens going on down on the other side of the map as the Warpins continue to bear fruit. But what we're looking at here, the big story of the next 30 seconds, is this massive surround that Scarlett is setting on up. She's looking to attack on every side. Astrea looking to trigger it early as the Stalkers look to move on in. Disruptor shots are going to get a lot of these Baneling stack defense doing a fantastic job. The Vipers are just not abducting. They're being a little bit slow, so most of the Disruptor shots, they're going to go off as intended. This army from Astrea is going to stand strong, and GG Scarlett is not going to have enough. Astrea takes game 4, and folks, we're going to game 5. And now it's game number 5. This one is for all the marbles. Winner moves on to the grand finals. Loser, well, they make some money. Not as much as they could have, but they make some money. They get some EPT points, but they don't get a chance to. They don't get a chance to go to the finals. Go for that ultimate glory. We're gonna have to see what each player has up their sleeves on this shortest of maps, on this cheesiest of maps, on this cheekiest of maps, because Beckett, every Zerg's least favorite map, although against Protoss it's not as bad as it is against Terran. Against Terran, ZVT is really painful, but against Protoss, your Queen walks are really good because, well, the Queens never leave. The Queens can run across the map and be on creep the entire time. Because of how short, it's like 3 screens across from natural to natural. Well, I guess 3 screens kind of like, yeah, 3.5, something. Anyway, doesn't matter. Point being, it's really fast to get your creep spread. And with these speed zones as well, it is, yeah, queen walks can be rather good, or Ravager all-ins, things like that. So on this map, we do tend to see less kind of Stargate play, although 2-base carrier I've seen be really good against these kind of early queen walk styles. And we do see more like DT play, because as long as you have enough gateways, and if you're able to hold out, a lot of the queen walks that we see on this map come before lair. So as long as you're able to survive long enough that you can get your DTs out, it's a pretty easy hold. I mean, see what Trap did to Raynor in season 1 of the global finals. Or no, sorry, TSL 7. Yeah, TSL 7. So once again, we do see this double gate opening from Astrea, but this time he got double Zealot. It's almost like he was worried that this was a 12 pool. And I guess it was, actually. It was an early pool. As both players playing the double blind. Oh god, you're being aggressive. Oh god, you're being aggressive type of thing. Isn't it? Zealot's going to run across the map here. And, you know, 2 Zealot, 2 Adept is not an easy thing for a bunch of Zerglings to deal with. I mean, there will be Queens, and the Spine should finish. But this kind of early game composition that Astrea's looked to make, it's not all that easy. And oh, knocking down that creep tumor is really annoying. It means that the creep between the natural and the third is just going to be very delayed. For the main base in the third, really, is going to be very delayed, which means that this army that Astrea has built is a lot more difficult to deal with. That being said, there are enough Zerglings at this point. The Spine is done, and that does mean that Astrea's going to be forced on back. Now Zerglings are running across the map, and speed is going to be done rather soon, so they do have a chance to burrow on in. I mean, it's only 2 Adepts here, and nothing more is being made. And yeah, the Zealots are really good against Zerglings, but if you can just kind of sit there on the edge to knock down this gateway, kind of sit out of the position, then the Adepts are only going to be able to do so much damage. That being said, it's more drones on the way. Scarlett's not really going to commit to this. And we go on. Stargate play is the name of the game here for Astrea in this game. Probably be for at least an Oracle to start. Yeah, okay, so there's that Oracle. I don't know if Astrea is going to have the opportunity to try to be aggressive with it, because the Zerglings are going to get active on the... Oh, wait, the Adepts are running away. Okay, never mind. Same, man, the Adepts, they're running out on the map here. Maybe the Zerglings can get something done, but they won't. Anyway, first Oracle is now going to hit the map rather soon. And because the Zerglings aren't really going to commit to this too much, I don't think. I mean, it's a full wall. Why would you ever expect to be able to bust through that, especially not with a shield battery? The Oracle will be able to run across the map and find some sorts of value. Now, we don't have any static... I mean, we have a Spine, but that doesn't really count when we're looking at anti-air. Not a lot of static defense here. Not a lot of Queens, actually, as well. Only 3. And 2 of these Queens are at the third base, which, well, there's no creep connection between the main and the third. Not really. So, we're going to have Zerglings. They're going to find this attempt at third base, and they're just going to dive on top of this probe. Make the life take a little bit longer to get the third base. Where is our Oracle? Running across here on the bottom side. Couple drones here, and there is 1 Queen, but there's just not a lot of defense here. So this Oracle should have an absolute field day. Drones are going to get pulled. 4 workers go down immediately. It's going to be 5. It's going to be more here, as Astrea has found that time. Scarlett not paying attention. She absolutely lose a decent amount, but hey, you know, look, 2 drones, 2 probes have died as well. And look at this. It's going to be kind of that stats idea, where you go Stargate, and you go into Glaives immediately after that, looking to punish the Zerg for, well, A, taking damage and trying to drone up too hard, or B, just committing too hard to the greed because it's a Stargate. And, well, Stargate traditionally necessitates greed. Not in the current meta, of course, because Stargate really kind of incites Queen Walks and Roach all-ins, but oh, wait. The wall's open, folks. Okay, yeah. Astrea is going to be on top of that, but the wall was open for a second. All right, so now we have this adept Oracle attack coming on in here. There are a decent amount of Ravagers, so this really shouldn't get a lot done. A couple of Adepts are going to shade on in, and that's going to be that. But, I mean, drones are already getting pulled here. Everything in the front not getting a lot done either. Really nice hold from Scarlett thus far, and it feels like this is one of those things. Okay, so Glaives are not done yet, which is part of the reason why Astrea didn't really commit. But, yeah, okay, I like this. He's just going to run on back. Not really finding the value he's looking for, but not finding the value you're looking for and kind of retooling for another timing is a lot better than not finding the value you're looking for, suiciding your entire army and still not finding the value you're looking for, and suddenly you don't have an army and you found no damage. That being said, of course, Scarlett's army is looking to run across the map here. Up 30 army supply. The Queens, are they walking? Yeah, they are. I mean, they don't have a creep quite as developed as they might otherwise like, but still. They're going to start walking here. Zergling's going to find their way on in. Ravager Pile's just going to drop on top of, really, yeah, the pylon. That is an Artosis pylon. Absolutely. So one more set of Biles should knock that one down, but the shield battery Ravager is going to keep it alive for the time being. Drop the Biles, Scarlett. Do it. You know you want to. Biles are just going to get a bunch of Adepts instead. The Adepts running across the other side of the map. They understand that maybe they can't take this fight, but they can do other things. Actually, no, the Shades will get canceled here as the Zerglings have all been paired away. And that is such an Artosis pylon. I just want to see it die because, you know, fun to see Artosis pylons die. But anyway, we will see one gateway go on down. The Queens are now here, and there's just so much more HP in this army now. Transfuses are just such a powerful spell, and we will see, well, we will see the Cyber Great get targeted on down as well. Not like that really matters. It's not like we're seeing a bunch of Cyber Tech units get built, but there we go. That is the Artosis pylon. The Immortal will not pop on out, not for a dog's age, and yes, we will see shield battery pop on in. It popped down to its death, and there's just no pylons. There's nothing to power this up. That's the big problem here. An Immortal is out. Zerglings find their way on into the third base, and Roaches as well. So this pylon should go down as well. Shield battery's not doing that much there. We will see another pylon attempted in the natural, but Scarlett knows this here. But when it gets close to finishing, she's just going to drop some Biles on it. 21 workers have died. This one Void Ray is the difference between Astrea holding him and between Astrea dying. And I'm not sure that's going to be that big of a difference. Yeah, there's going to be this pylon in the natural, but everything that it's looking to power is now dead. Zerglings, Roaches, Ravagers find their way on into the main base. And folks, it looks like here, Scarlett, she's punched her ticket on into the grand finals. Astrea, he tried something, he tried another thing, none of them worked. And now his natural has been broken, his third base has been broken. In fact, his natural is going to go down, and GG, folks, Scarlett, she moves on to the grand finals.